Tuesday, you will be able
Yes
to
po,
provide
yes
that
po,
together
Mr.
with
Chair.
yung a breakdown per region rin, per province,
Will-
region, per province, per city, municipality, para alam rin namin kung saan yung malakas. Yes.
Opo, Mr. Chair.
Itong apat na TechVoc sets na ito, bakit na-limit dun sa apat na ito? Is there no other highly quality, highly skilled job na nakikita po ninyo that a Filipino can earn a good living na
Mr.
hindi
Chair,
nyo pinrovide?
Mr. Chair, let me add po pala, we have the senior high school TVL Maritime. And Mr. Chair, there are also what we call the unique specializations, like for example, weaving, yung kakao, abaka, all handicrafts related to this. They fall under the senior high school TVL unique specializations po, Mr. Chair. However, these unique specializations po ay wala pa po silang mga counterpart na NC1 or NC2.
Sam, for the submission on Tuesday, i-breakdown ninyo na lahat. Kasi katulad ngayon, kanina yung unang statement, 4 lang.
Opo.
And then now, biglang
Sorry.
nag-add tayo ng 2
Sorry
pa.
po, Mr. Chair.
And then may qualification on the unique specializations, walang NC1, NC2 na nakukuha po dyan.
Opo.
So we want the breakdown on that and to ensure. Pero other than this, meron ba kayong gustong ituro, nakikita na dapat kasama, pero hindi ninyo nasama na sa TechVoc track?
Mr.
Something
Chair,
that is high.
opo.
Kasi nakita po natin yung studies na linabas ng iba-ibang study firms, research firms. Most of our graduates, in fact, ayaw nga tanggapin eh. Or yung mga tinanggap man, yung ina-allege nila na 80%, they are not actually employed in highly skilled jobs. So what are you doing about this? Baka may kulang sa mga pinaprovide yung courses, or is it a limitation based on expertise that you have, yung mga teachers ninyo? Baka wala rin kayong enough. And that is, again, it is not something that you should be ashamed to admit. Kasi hindi nyo namang core talaga ang TechVoc eh.
Po. Yes po, Mr. Chair, we acknowledge po yung limitation po na yon. That's why po, after having launched the K+10 matatag curriculum po, Mr. Chair, nasa initial stage na po kami ng senior high school curriculum review to possibly accommodate all of this feedback po, Mr. Chair.
How long will this review take?
We are targeting it po na matapos first or second quarter po ng 2024 po, Mr. Chair.
So in the meantime, the 30 to 36% enrolling in your TechVoc senior high school track, pasensyahan na muna. Because based on all the research firms, they are not employed in high quality, high paying jobs. So you will take another 6 months to review, and so yung cohort na ito na magtatapos, pasensyahan na lang. But you don't have to comment anymore on that. May I also acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Bonifacio Busita from the Party List One Rider Party List. Welcome po. Sam, yung next question ko, yung issue ng mga NCs, are you now giving that out for free, or is that still subject to some fee?
Mr. Chair, as of now po, hindi po lahat ng ating mga senior high school TVL students get access to a free assessment fee po. Only those students ng TVL po who are in the joint delivery voucher program. It's a kind of financial assistance extended to learners who are enrolled in senior high schools with TVL but don't have the necessary facilities, and instead we have TVI partners that provide those specializations, and at the same time for them to facilitate also the taking of the NC by these students po, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ibig sabihin pag may industry partner kayo, libre na yung assessment. Ang nagbabayad nun yung partner ninyo or hindi?
Meron po tayong line item po, Mr. Chair, sagaan na joint delivery voucher program po, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
I understand that. Pero ang question ko, other than that, wala na.
Wala na po.
Yes. So,
Mr. Chair, nagiging free din po if our
Exactly.
schools division offices
Mhm.
present the situation to our local government units. Tumutulong po ang ating mga LGUs din po.
Yes. So, Sam, in the opinion of, in the view of DepEd, kung hindi rin kayo nakakapag-issue ng libreng NC, ano ang value nung dinaanan ng bata? Ano yung proof niya pagtapos niya ng grade 12 na nakatanggap siya ng skills training?
Mr. Chair, if I may may I say that lahat po ng ating mga senior high school graduates, we issue them their senior high school diploma, and in that diploma po, Mr. Chair, nandun po yung kanilang track or strand. Say for example,
And that diploma would also contain, tama yan, I understand what you're saying, but would it say kung ano yung specialty nila?
yes po, nandun po yung graduate po siya ng senior high school TVL in agri-fishery arts. Parang ganun.
Yes. Ang question ko ngayon, like ito yung HE, yung mga yan, may assessment rin yun.
Opo.
Yes. So kawawa naman yung ang nangyayari sa learner natin, pupunta sila, mag-on the job training sila sa isang, sometimes sa hotel ba? Sa isang hotel, and then, nagtrabaho na sila para sa ibang tao, nagtrabaho na sila para sa industriya, allowance lang sila doon, di ba? Hindi naman sila binabayaran ng salary, probably, no? And then, wala man lang assessment na nabibigay sa kanila, ang DepEd na libre.
Iyon po pag NC po Mr. Chair, talaga pong wala po tayong line item nga po in support to the assessment fee
Yes.
of our TVL.
Kasi Sam, under the law, hindi ba dapat nakikipag-ugnayan kayo sa TESDA? Is that correct?
Opo.
Who's the representative from TESDA? Please state your name
Mr.
and
Chair.
position.
David Bungalyon, Mr. Chair, Executive Director of the National Institute for Technical Education
Yes.
Skills Development of TESDA.
ED David, sa TESDA, meron ba kayong libre na para makapag-assessment yung mga learner natin?
Two program, Mr. Chair.
Meron, wala. Yun na lang.
Meron.
Meron. No, Sam, meron sila. If DepEd had followed the law, if you had coordinated with TESDA, ED David just told the whole committee here, they have the funds for that. So why did DepEd not do that? Well, I'm asking Sam, you said already ED David meron eh. Oh, you want to clarify, ED David?
Yeah, I would just like to clarify, Mr. Chair. Two free assessment. One is the free assessment for workers. The other assessment is usually all Tibet programs, scholarship programs for Tibet, built in na doon kasi yung assessment fee for certification. So all learners do not have problem on taking assessment or paying assessment, Mr. Chair.
In other words, ED David, if the Department of Education had coordinated with TESDA, kunyari saan nila nilalagay yung students nila for apprenticeship or training, then you could have taken over in terms of payment of the assessment fees. Kasi may second program kayo eh. One is for workers and the other one is for TV program, di ba? Is that correct? Correct. How much did you have for your scholarship? 14? How much did you have for your scholarship? How much for last year or this year?
I don't have the data, Mr. Chair.
Is it not 14 billion? Could you double check?
That is for training and assessment, Mr.
Training
Chair.
and assessment, correct. Which could have fit in for the learners, di ba? So, hindi nakipag-coordinate sa inyo ang DepEd. So the question, Sam, now is, why did you not coordinate with TESDA? Why did DepEd not coordinate, knowing that you were graduating students na importante yung NC? Or are you saying hindi importante yung NC and your diploma is sufficient enough?
Mr. Chair, well, I can only speak based on my experience first, Mr.
You're
Chair.
the authorized representative. As you said, you're
as-
authorized to speak for DepEd here this morning.
As-
You knew that we would talk about the K+10+2. You knew that this would be the topic. You knew that these questions would arise. So I assume you are ready and prepared to respond to any query by any member this morning. So the question is very simple. So please respond. And I don't need your personal opinion. As you said earlier, you are the representative of DepEd.
Mr. Chair, in our curriculum po kasi, we engage the TESDA naman po. So meaning po, yung ating mga curriculum guides po sa TVL also were vetted by our counterparts sa TESDA. However po, doon po may TESDA board resolution din po kasi doon sa mga fees po. And I understand po talaga na hindi po free para sa lahat ng senior high school TVL.
ED David, bakit hindi free? Hindi ba dapat yun nga yung tinutulungan nyo? Because under the K-12, kasama kayo. You are supposed to be part of the training. So why can't you pass sabi ni Sir Sam sa amin ngayon, officially po to, on record, sinabi niya na effectively hindi kayo cooperative because your board did not pass any resolution allowing your funds to be used by our senior high school students para makakuha sila ng NCs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If the joint delivery program should have included already the assessment fee, then I think there's no problem for the graduates of the joint delivery program to undergo assessment because nandun na yung fee. But on the part of TESDA, Mr. Chair, sa board, yes, the fees are regulated because these are implemented by accredited assessment centers, accredited assessors, and it requires supplies and materials and so forth and so on. And of course, the budget for TESDA deliberated by the TESDA board is within the TESDA programs, Mr. Chair.
Correct. And that is not inconsistent with the coordinating with DepEd. Kung nag-coordinate kayong sa isa't isa, then we would not have had this problem of graduates because hindi ba tama yun eh. You have accredited assessment or offices, sino yung pwede mag-assess. Did DepEd not ask you? Sino ba yung sabi nga ng DepEd, kasama kayo sa curriculum development. So knowing ito yung curriculum na that you had assented to, na ibibigay natin sa senior high school, hindi ba pwedeng sinabi ninyo, meron kailangan ng assessment yan para makakuha ng NC1, NC2. Meron kaming pondo kung sa accredited namin, kami nang bahala. Hindi ba pwedeng naging gano'n ang arrangement niyo?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Actually, I agree that in the curriculum development, we have been invited, we have provided our expertise. But in the quality assurance of the TechVoc in DepEd, we have not been consulted on the quality assurance program, meaning are they required to register their program so that we'll be able to audit the program to comply with quality requirements? Just a part of that is the competency assessment certification, Mr. Chair.
Yes. So, sinabi ni E.T. David, hindi ba importante ang nakalagay sa Constitution, di ba? Quality education, and that includes not only your academic track, but also the TechVoc track. Pero sila yung expert or hindi? Kasi hindi na raw sila sinama sa quality assurance eh.
Mr. Chair, in the quality assurance po kasi when we when students already go through the specializations, they are advised to take the NC. However, the challenge here is on the funding po, Mr. Chair. Meaning po, when like for example in the joint delivery voucher program, so these students already go through the national certification, and the only assessment centers po are provided by the TESDA po. So ang point ko po is ang NC fee po ay very clear sa joint delivery voucher na nakalagay na po siya doon sa pera po.
The joint delivery voucher, does that cover the whole 30 to 36% na kumukuha ng...
Po, hindi po. Only...
Exactly. So dahil hindi enough, DepEd just sat down and said, wala, kulang binigay sa amin ng Kongreso, kulang ano. Hindi ganon. May partner kayo eh. You should have consulted and conferred with TESDA. Wala na kami problema sa joint delivery voucher ninyo. But ikaw na nagsabi ngayon, kulang yon. So ang nangyari sa atin, basta masabi lang, checklist lang, na mapagraduate namin, but that is not the way to conduct education in this in our country. Ang importante nga sa atin, 'di ba, ano? quality education. Assessment nga importante. But before I go back to you, I think from Tev Safil, are you, Mr. Abalos, you've been raising your hand. Is it related to what is being discussed?
Good morning, sir, Mr. Chair, and all the members of this committee and everyone, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mr. Abalos, Andre Abalos. I'm from Tepsfield TechVoc Association of the Philippines. And I just wanted to, following the discussions between TES and DepEd, kami po ay nag-implement po ng JDVP. We are also partners of DepEd. And last year po kasi, we were not required to yung ating po mga estudyante to undergo assessment. It was not mandatory. And this year, it was mandatory. So yung pong nire-receive po ng mga private schools, doon po kinukuha yung pangbayad ng assessment. But of course, we want to emphasize that gaya ng binanggit ninyo, there should be coordination between TESDA and DepEd, lalo na po sa JDVP because I'm also with the PCCI. And lahat po ng discussions po namin sa PCCI, it's always ang graduates po ng senior high, it's always doon po sa parang OJT level. Hindi po siya kino-consider na job ready. And that is why lagi namin sinasabi na dapat sa senior high malaking tulong na rin po na may assessment po sila. So with regards to the budget, I'm not sure if TESDA or DepEd is asking for additional budget, but it's already contained in the JDVP program na meron na po kaming requirement that all students would be assessed. So yun lang pa request po namin, Mr. Chair, that maybe the TechVoc track, it's better off with TESDA because at least on TESDA, may training na po, may assessment na po, and of course, at the end of the day, kailangan din po natin talagang NC2 so that our graduates from senior high would have a better chance of getting a job kahit na dun po sa entry level po based on the requirements po ng industry. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Abalos. Sam, bakit hindi mandatory yung NC last year? Last year hindi mandatory to?
Una po, Mr. Chair, ang NC po ay hindi po siya requirement for senior high school.
We know that. Yun nga ang kini-question namin eh.
Opo.
You graduate students without NCs eh.
Yun po yung naging, how do you call that po, naging part na po ng practice na hindi po siya mandatory. Only, for example po, only those who are supposed to be in the joint delivery voucher program and those students who are interested and for those teachers who have motivated their teachers to take the NC po.
Yes. Pero hindi nga mandatory last year, even for your JDV, for your partners. Last year hindi, but this year mandatory na.
Could be due to the change in the kasi po, Mr. Chair, dati, ang Joint Delivery Voucher Program ay nasa curriculum and teaching po.
Mhm.
So kami po yung nag-draft ng policy. And then, pagkatapos po noon, Mr. Chair, for this school year, for the previous school year, for example po, naging part na po siya ng Office of the Undersecretary for Finance. So, nabago po yung policy po.
Policy. And it's a better policy now na mandatory. Yes. Sam, I'm sure madaming questions sa'yo. But one last before I call on Honorable Bordado. So again, ulitin ko lang, meron kayong parang dalawang track. Meron with TVI partners at meron stay in school na TechVoc track. Okay. Meron na kayong data, I suppose, kung ano nangyari sa graduates natin. May tracer na kayo by now. Kasi ilang cohorts na rin nag-graduate. You must have data already on the success rate, employment rates, saan sila na-employ, yung mga dumaan ng TVI natin, at yung mga nasa DepEd lang. So by Tuesday, we will have could you submit that also to this committee? Yung trace, I'm sure you have a tracer in this.
We have po.
Yes. Could you submit the complete data by Tuesday?
Sige po.
So dalawa yan,
Sige po.
Yes. Yes, Honorable Bordado.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I also have been reading reports on the so-called or the supposed unemployability of K-12 graduates. And I remember, Mr. Chairman, in our meeting just before the budget hearing, there was this comment coming from one of the resource speakers that it's really difficult to go beyond NC2. And for the first time, I learned that there is NC3, NC4, and up to NC5. Sa distrito ko, ang narinig ko lang, NC2. So, what's the problem now? How can we resolve that particular issue?
Thank you, Honorable Bordado. And we will ask E.T. David now because, alam nyo, Honorable Bordado, in fact, pinagtataka na rin namin yan eh. Pinag-aagawan ng lahat yung training until NC2 lang. But NC2 is so basic. I think to upgrade everything, we have to go to NC3, 4, 5. According to TESDA, meron daw sila niyan. But then we also ask them to submit a nationwide map of all the schools and trainers that they have. And I think that has been, so we will provide all the members. Pero nandito na si ED David, ED natin, could you expound on this a little? Kasi yung move nga na number na kayo na. Pero baka wala nga kayong kakayanan eh.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. As to the requirements, I think we have all complied with the requirements submitted. But just to inform this august body that yes, indeed, we are actually promoting higher level PQF levels of Tibet, PQF level 3 and 4, and also the diploma. But let me just, if the chair may allow, for a proper appreciation of
Yes.
the PQF level.
So we understand.
When we say NC1, these are actually the semi-skilled workers. The attribute will be semi-skilled workers. When we say NC2, these are already skilled workers in that very specific occupational job. When they say NC3, these are actually craftsmen, higher skilled but with knowledge on higher technology. When we say NC4, these are the technician level. When we say technician level is higher skilled, they can interpret, designs, and then they could also work with or supervise skilled workers. The level 5 is technologies. So as far as do we have NC3 and 4 level programs already, Mr. Chair? Yes, we'd like to inform the august body that for NC2 we have already 178 training regulations, NC3 88 training regulations, and NC4 20 training regulations. Maybe the issue is why is it that few institutions are offering higher level NCs? Maybe because the supply prefers lower NC level, and of course, before you go to higher level, you have to pass by the lower level. But we have already NC level institutions offering NC3 level programs, particularly those with partnerships with industry, Mr. Chair. So 88. We have also a NC4 already, Mr. Chair, 23 training regulations, and it's still counting, Mr. Chair, because this is our direction. Thank you. The NC5 is the diploma program, Mr. Chair. This is the interface to a bachelor degree program. No, sir. We have already 500. Okay, we have about 50 plus diploma programs, and there are about 528 registered programs and 258 institutions already offering diploma programs, Mr. Chair.
But by offering, may enrollee?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
O could you also break that down to us? Nabigay niyo rin ba sa committee na yun? NC5?
NC5.
Parang wala.
We will check. If not, we will provide immediately, Mr. Chair. We have the
Yes.
data.
Yes,
Yes.
including
Complete data, Mr.
complete
Chair. The number of institutions, the programs, and the number of students enrolled.
yes. ED David, something struck me with your initial statement. Karamihan NC2 lang kasi yun lang ang demand. So industries here, we can ask them. Nagko-complain sa amin yung ibang industry na hanggang NC2 lang, tapos sasabihin nyo sa amin ngayon na yun lang kasi ang demand, hanggang
No.
NC2 lang. No, you said that. We can read that back. You said that that's the reason bakit karamihan ay nandoon sa NC2.
Mr.
Unless
Chair,
you're taking back that statement.
may I clarify, Mr. Chair? I said that the demand is higher level now, and I think industries have been pronouncing this one, but most of the enrollees want to enroll. The supply is the one that marami po, Mr. Chair, na nag-enroll ng NC2. Pero yung demand talaga is higher level na NC3, NC4 because we have been working with industry, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, so knowing that the demand is higher for NC3, NC4, and NC5, bakit tayo ang bulto na sa NC1 and NC2? Yun ang sinabi mo sa amin, yung bulto ata ng estudyante na sa NC1 and NC2.
Yes.
Bakit ko konti lang? But you said the demand is for NC3, 4, 5. So why has TESDA not been focusing on that in the last few years?
Yeah, we are now actually into it, Mr. Chair, promoting right now together with industry.
Yes. When
Before
did this start? This thrust towards NC3, 4, 5. Kailan nyo naisip na dito na tayo?
Sir, actually, I can say that we have been 5 years ago or 3 years ago. We have
3 years
already
ago.
because we have now 88 training regulations formulated with industry, Mr. Chair.
Yes, before 3 years ago, how many? Less than 88, baka wala.
Yes.
That's what you mean. So we need that, ano yung training regulations for NC3, NC4, NC5.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we'll come.
Diba? What about your instructors, teachers for NC3, 4, 5? Is that an issue or you have enough supply?
Actually, that is also a concern, Mr. Chair, because because some of the trainers sometimes they go abroad. They go abroad, and with the increase of demand, then we really have to catch up training trainers to teach. Just like to share that in Tibet, we have what we call the Philippine Tibet Trainers Qualification Framework, which requires that for one to teach a TechBook program, one is they have the technology certificate, the NC themselves, so that they should know what they should be teaching. The second one is they should have a methodology course with TESDA, because teaching technology is different from teaching a academic program, Mr. Chair.
David, last question before anyone asks pala. Etong NC1, NC2, is this a Philippine-created title or certificate, or is this globally, internationally recognized? Yung NCs na to, or pati yung competencies within any NCs, o Philippine creation lang yan?
Yes, this is labeled under the Philippine Qualification Framework, Mr. Chair, wherein Tibet is take cares of NC1 to level 5, level 1 to level 5. So this is Philippine, but we are now actually with the MRA, the Mutual Reform Agreement, we are now aligning our qualification standards to that of our ASEAN countries, Mr. Chair.
You said you are aligning. So hindi pa tayo aligned?
Yes, sir. We are still aligning. Right? Just for example, we have aligned.
So hindi ba tayo dapat magpanik? Ang tagal na ng TESDA. Ang tagal na natin sa TESDA. You've had decades of opportunities to be able to upgrade. Yung PQF was passed 17th Congress.
Yes,
And
yes.
of course, 17th Congress. But that was being referred to even during the presidency of our Deputy Speaker. So parang more than a decade na. Kaya nga nagpapanik ang DepEd. Kaya siguro hindi kayo tinatanong sa qualification, sa quality assurance. Because nasa na tayo sa until now, we are still about to be compliant with yung Asian qualification framework or whatever qualification framework.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, actually, in terms of the descriptor, meaning the descriptor, these are what a trainee or a graduate of the PQF level can achieve. This has been already aligned with the other countries, because in other countries like Indonesia, they have 9 levels. In Malaysia, they have 8 levels. And we have seen that our PQF are aligned in terms of descriptor. But in terms of content, an example is we have just finished aligning a heavy equipment operation with Thailand. And we found out that we have some mas mataas sila ng konti. So that is the thing that we have to address in terms of contents of a program, Mr. Chair.
Fact, ED, David, I don't know in what committee meeting that was mentioned. When you're talking about yung skills training for machinery, ang narinig ko nga yung sa ibang bansa, parang electric na sila or some parang higher form na sila ng competencies. But tayo, naiwan pa rin tayo sa manual or something like that. Is that true? Or anyway, I will get the details on that. And I hope that is not true. Meaning yung competencies po ninyo ay parang, in fact, advanced na nga yung natututunan ng ibang learners. But when it comes to getting assessed by TESDA, kailangan pa nila bumalik doon sa magsi-step back pa sila.
Yes, Mr. Chair, the newly developed training regulations are actually addressing technology, current technology requirements. That's why one of the functions of our qualification standards office are now currently reviewing also with our industry experts the old training regulations, because we have to catch up in terms of the tools and equipments. So they are in the process.
So nag-level up na.
Nag-level up na, sir.
Yes.
We have no recourse, sir.
Yes, kailan nag-umpisa yung leveling up na ito?
Uh,
Kunyari, the machinery you talked about, I will get the details. I think that is on record in one committee meeting.
Yes.
Nasabi sa amin, in fact, kung ano yung training regulation ninyo at ano actually yung kinakailangan na internationally, and nabibehind sila dahil kailangan raw nila. They've learned the advanced technology, pero kailangan nila para makakuha ng NC sa inyo, babalik pa sila. Kailangan nila yung basic matutunan, pero yung pangangailangan medyo advanced na. And I heard about that siguro a few months ago lang, isang committee meeting dito. So I will get that on record, but you are assuring us na hindi na ganoon. But tell us now, kailan kayo nag-upgrade, nag-level up? Last year, 2 years ago, or just a few months ago?
Yes, sir. The currency of the training regulation responds to the currency of the technology. The one that we are now reviewing, because the review process takes now 3 years, but 5 years before, and those 5 years old training regulations we are now actually reviewing. I would just like to share that in the review, TESDA does not do the review. We now again get back to our industry experts, and because they are the one that tells now what are the tools, what are the equipment,
Yes,
what are the contents. That's the process, Mr. Chair.
It takes, the cycle is 3 or 5 years?
Before we
My point is, technology yan, nagamit na sa ibang bansa. Why do we have to reinvent the wheel? If it works there, kailangan pa ba natin pag-aralan ulit dito? Parang 3 to 5 years, di na behind na naman yung learner natin. I hope, baka mali ako may understanding ko, but if the cycle takes 3 to 5 years, as I understand, is this a necessity, or are we reinventing an obvious use of a wheel already that is there already? Are we reinventing, parang gusto natin na sarili natin? Pero why? Diba?
Mr. Chair, the regular cycle of review is just to ensure that we are actually aligned to the current trends.
It takes 3 to 5 years to do that.
Before, sir, 5 years. Right now,
3 years.
Is 3 years.
Yes.
But if there is really a need, I think there's a need to shorten it. That if possible, there is an annual review, then we can do it, Mr. Chair.
Yes, and what will stop you from doing the annual review?
No, Mr. Mr.
So it's really up to TESDA.
Yes.
So
Mr. Chair.
pusa ninyo yan. If you want to do it, pwedeng annually, pwedeng 6 months, kaya niyan.
Yes,
Is
Mr.
that
Chair.
correct?
Yes.
So hopefully,
Yes, Mr.
David, did you, as executive director, you take the lead on that? Kasi uhaw na rin talaga yung mga tao na ma-upgrade sila sa skills na tama, because the Philippines, the world, talagang technology is so important na eh. Importante po talaga yan. So hopefully. Pero back to the question, do you have enough trainers, professors, and everything? Or where do you get your supply? From CHED graduates? From tertiary graduates? Or may special school yan?
Sir, usually from our baccalaureate graduates, CHED graduates. But we also employ particularly those from the industry. Yes, because of
the proportion of from industry and from tertiary level graduates. Ano yung proportion?
Okay. As to the proportion, Mr. Chair, we did not impose proportion, but as to qualification, if an applying
Not that you imposed, but currently, ano yung proportion na na-hire ninyo from industry and based on yung mga nag-graduate ng tertiary level natin?
we look into that, Mr.
Yes,
Chair. Right, thank you.
Tuesday next week also, sabay na ng, so we can take a look.
Yes,
We
Mr. Chair.
intend to pass this before the year ends. So we are hoping that the data is before all members so that everyone can consider what we're doing. Ang gusto nga ng lahat mag-TESDA eh. Ang problema lang namin talaga, and I don't mean it kayo, but in general, do we trust our learners to TESDA? Yan talaga yung question na kailangan ninyong bigyan ng comfort ang members That is where we are. If you need any help, any amendment, any revision, willing kami dito makinig and see what we can do. The point is, gusto natin isang quality education for everyone in all pathways that we are going to provide. Yes.
Yeah, an additional information, Mr. Chair. Our direction now is establishing industry boards, strengthening existing industry boards because sila po yung makakatulong sa atin when it comes to standards and implementation, even in the assessment and certification, because we are also towards recognizing vendor certification, meaning these are the industry certification. So these are our take now, Mr. Chair.
Yes. And when will this all happen? Yung actual na marereport ninyo sa sarili niyo, makakatulog kayo sa gabi na nagawa na namin yon. May industry and partners na kami. Meron kami yun yung question Kasi kung nasa mind lang, wala
We have already established 4 national industry boards, and we are
Okay.
also encouraging regional industry boards, Mr. Chair.
Sige. Could you provide us also in writing yung 4 industry boards
Yes,
na meron
Mr.
na?
Chair.
And kung saan pa kayo papunta? Baka mamaya, members here in their own districts or provinces can also, with the local government, start supporting para lang mapabilis natin, di ba? Yung quality, but with quality,
We submit, Mr. Chair.
Yes. There's a representative from CHED. Yes, please state your name and position in CHED.
Magandang umaga po, Mr. Chair, and to the members of this body. Erickson Reyes po, Senior Education Program Specialist from Commission on Higher Education. And with me po is our resource person from the Technical Panel for Teacher Education of the Commission on Higher Education, Dr. Luis Sorolla Jr.
Sir Erickson, narinig mo naman yung sinasabi sa amin ni ED David, di ba? Ng TESDA. Kailangan rin nila, kumukuha rin sila sa graduates ng tertiary level. So based on CHED's data, how are you doing? Do you know exactly anong training ang kailangan yung, di ba kayong gumagawa nun di ba? You have group, meron kayong policy groups, policy standards.
Yes po, we have
Yun-
concerned technical panel po. in
Correct.
terms of-
Do you know exactly kung ano yung pangangailangan ng industriya ngayon? And are you focusing on training trainers so that quality ang mapapasa natin sa learners natin?
Right now, sir, I don't have the data, but we are closely working with the industry through our technical panel po. And the process of developing curriculum in higher ed includes consultation po with concerned industries, and of course with TESDA also, particularly for the land rights program.
Sige. Sir Erickson, what can the members of this committee hold on to that actually may concrete na nangyayari? Kasi tama ka you consulting, mag-usap nga kayo on the phone, consulting na yun Pero ang question ko, yung implementation ng consultations niyo with industry, with TESDA, ano yung bunga nito? Ano yung pwede namin panghawakan na hindi kami kinakabahan na kunyari, we really urge TESDA to go to NC3, NC4, NC5, or again, we will review that kung tama yung leveling we will take a look at that also, Pero if we urge them to do that, if we prioritize that, ano yung assurance niyo sa amin na hindi sila kakapusin o babalik sa amin sa committee na wala ho kaming trainers hindi kami nakakuha dahil kulang yung nag-graduate ng hindi naka-prepared yung CHED
Well, that has to be discussed po with the Commission on Higher Education po.
Been discussed yet?
Yes, sir. Although there have been initiatives on the part of the Commission in terms of curriculum development that has interfaced with TESDA po.
Sige. Sir Erickson, sa CHED, who would be in charge coordinating that with TESDA para yung sa technical panels ninyo ay maabisuhan ninyo kung ano yung kailangan?
Primarily our office po, the
Your
Office of
office.
Programs and
So
Standards.
you commit to this committee that you will engage TESDA and industry as soon as possible time. And NEDA is important dito, But consult the players to find out kung ano yung projection nila na pangangailangan para masigurado na yung inyong technical panels are working on that, encouraging students towards jobs in the future?
Yes, sir. With the permission of our chair, we will closely coordinate with TESDA po, which we have been doing po for the past.
Sabi mo a few minutes ago, hindi nga about this matter That is why I was asking for a commitment eh. I have no problem. I'm sure nag-uusap kayo.
Yeah.
Pero with respect to ensuring that hindi magkaka-shortage ng mga trainers, resource speakers, experts
Yeah.
with respect to NC3, NC4, NC5, NC6, nandoon kayo. You have to have that conversation soonest, and you have to put how long, in 2 weeks, could you give a report to Congress? In
Yes,
2
sir.
weeks.
We will take note of the recommendation po. And
Yung
we'll submit
gusto
a
namin
report.
sa report, simple lang. Kung ano pinag-usapan niyo, ano yung consultation ninyo, ano yung plano ninyo, anong timetable po ninyo. And what are the steps you will take to ensure na hindi magkakaroon ng excuse in the future na kulang yung experts natin.
Okay. Noted po,
2
Mr.
weeks
Chair.
is enough or 3 weeks?
Probably 3 weeks po.
3
siguro.
weeks, sige. Yes.
For us to gather the experts po.
Yes.
Okay.
Salamat, Sir Erickson.
Thank you,
Yes.
sir.
Neda is also present? Walang Neda.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Who is present for? Yes, sir. Could you please state your name and your position in NEDA?
Yes, sir. I'm Kevin Godoy. I'm the Chief Economic Development Specialist and the concurrent OIC of the Social Development Staff of NEDA.
Yung OIC, as OIC of the Social Development Office,
Yes, sir.
ito yung nasasakupan mo, yung issue of learners, of training. Ito, it is your office in charge of this?
Yes, sir. Under social development staff, obviously, sir, we have a number of divisions,
Yes.
including education and skills development. So whatever technical discussions that we will be having, ibabato namin doon sa division na yan. But for the overall social development staff, sir, I'm the officer in charge.
Yes. Ano ang role ng NEDA? Ngayon, dito sa ano natin, what do you contribute aside from approving projects? How do you wala ba kayong daily tulong na nabibigay sa education natin, sa development na advice, telling DepEd, TESDA or CHED? Ito yung direksyon natin kasi nakikita namin sa ekonomiya namin, sa pag-aaral namin ng ekonomiya, sabi ng NEDA board namin, ito yung mga trabaho na mafo-focusan natin, ang development ng Pilipinas. So meron bang mga ganun na mga ginagawang NEDA or that's outside your authority?
Well, sir, basically, if the education agencies or any other partners in the national government would ask us about projections of example for learning losses, how much would be the possible economic gains of implementing such policies and programs, that's where we provide the technical assistance. In as much as possible, so we don't actually, unless explicitly asked, we don't provide positions. However, unless explicitly asked, so what we look at both the pros and cons of policies, and then we make the decisions based on those economic projections. So mas macro talaga yung tingin namin, sir.
Yes. Before any member will ask you, let me also acknowledge the presence of the gentleman from the Lone District of Catanduanes, the Honorable Leo Rodriguez. Welcome po. As much as possible, hindi kayo nai-involve. You don't, naghihintay, passive ang trabaho ng NEDA. So NEDA will wait for any of the departments or agencies to ask for a request, a formal request for you to be, hindi ba dapat, or is it outside the realm of your authority to be more active? Hindi ba yung macro nga, nakikita po ninyo kung saan papunta yung bansa, ano yung ekonomiya natin, ano yung dapat natin, ano yung untapped, ano yung underutilized? Hindi ba dapat mas proactive tayo or I have the wrong impression?
Yes, sir. Well, as an oversight agency po, sir, we sit on the various technical working groups and interagency committees. And like I've said, yung sectoral fluencies and sectoral expertise, of course, we do not necessarily defer to our education agencies, pero like I said, yung ano namin, we're not just looking at, for example, if a policy is going to have massive fiscal implications, at least in the medium term, yun po yung tinitingnan namin. And ano yung nakikita namin challenges and gaps, not just for the education sector, Yeah, for the overall economy, sir.
So based on NEDA study ng economy natin, yung challenges and gaps, ano ang tingin ninyo na kailangan ma-plug para yung economy natin ay umusbong? Or do you think we are already doing well? You can sit back, relax, wait, watch what's happening?
Yes, sir.
Or do you think, seeing what are the gaps, the challenges in the economy in general? So nakikita niyo kung ano yung underutilized, kung saan tayo kulang ng expertise, kung saan tayo, nakikita niyo yun. In studying the macro.
Yes, sir.
Katulad services, I think. Alam natin wala tayong manufacturing, di ba?
Yes, sir.
Mahina manufacturing or okay na?
Of course, sir. All of this being lifted from the current administration's PDP. Of course, we want to look.
The NEDA's job is continuous yan.
Yes, sir.
Hindi naman kayo per administration. You pick up from whatever is there. Kasi hindi naman window yung yung ekonomiya natin, 'di ba? That's one continuous flow. So, looking at that, ano ang kailangan natin improve? Anong sector ang kailangan natin ma-improve?
Well, for the obviously given the number of big ticket projects that will be implemented, one of the things that we're looking at is the availability of labor. Skilled labor,
sige.
sir.
So let's talk about
We
labor.
recognize that, sir.
Yeah, you have to gusto natin skilled
Yes, sir.
skilled labor. So based on that macroeconomic study that you did on NEDA, but I mean, nakita ninyo kailangan tayo mag-focus sa labor. So what are the challenges in order for us to come up with the skilled workers that we need for the different big ticket items or small ticket items that we will be doing in the next couple of years? Ano yung gaps doon sa skilled workers natin?
Well, of course, sir, the current makeup of the workforce, obviously kailangan na we need to train more people for the demands
Yes.
right now, and also at the same time trying to make it attractive for them to actually stay here. And because
Yes,
another portion is yung in as much as we want our workers to be globally competitive, the downside of that is actually trying to have the incentive for them to stay.
Sige.
So
What is the population of the Philippines?
around total population, sir?
Yeah,
Is
more or
our-
less.
110.
Sige, sa working age, yung mga between 18 to 30 na lang. Ano yung population natin doon?
Ano ba? Brian, do you have? I don't have that.
Ano yung number natin ng unemployed or underemployed? Because the fear that you are talking about, it can be remedied if we have a big program wherein maayos natin yung quality ng iba-iba natin educational pathways. Even if some Filipinos believe that they have a better life offshore, meron pa rin may iwan dito. Let us not be scared. Malaki yung population natin. So I do not see the worry in that respect if we provide quality education. So that is why gusto namin kayong pumasok dito. Kung may nakikita kayong challenges or gaps sa skilled workers natin, should you not be providing TESDA, CHED, or DepEd some advice on this matter, even unsolicited advice? Because at the end, you are part of the nation eh. You're constitutionally created, in fact. Kayong economists natin eh. And nasa Pasig rin nga pala kayo.
Sir.
Yeah, so
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Gabby. Honorable Bordado. Sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you have been discussing something about the national economy, and the Philippines, I believe, has been classified as lower middle class for the past 2 decades, I believe. Now, the representative of the National Economic and Development Authority, can he give us a clue on when can we step up to the higher middle class classification? Yeah, and what is needed to do that?
Yes,
Mr. Chairman.
Attorney, narinig mo naman
Yes,
yung
sir.
query. Would you be in a position to respond?
Yes, sir. Actually, we were literally on our way to be classified as an upper middle class before the pandemic actually hit. the country. Right now we are still classified as a lower middle class, but like I said, we are and again the policies and the programs and all the recovery plans that we have put in place is set to put us down that path
Attorney,
again.
para maliwanag so we are all on the same page.
Yes, sir.
What makes you a lower middle class and what makes you an upper middle class? Para maintindihan namin na sinabi mo kasi kung hindi nagka-pandemic, ando na tayo. So we want to know now ano ba yung characteristics nung based on NEDA or global naman siguro to, no? What is a lower middle class and what's an upper middle class?
Basically, sir, it's the size of the economy, the country's economy, and I just don't have the cut-offs right now. Pero ultimately, it's the size of the economy, which of course is driven by the type of industries that drives that country's economy. So for us, for example, ang driver na economy natin is manufacturing and services. So yun yung main drivers ng ating economy before and after. So obviously when the pandemic hit and a lot of the work of stoppage happened, nag-slow down po lahat na.
Parang the size of your GNP, GDP, ang ba yun?
Yes, sir. Among other things. Sir.
Amongst other things. But you do not look at whether or not the quality of life of majority of Filipinos actually improve or not. Kasi kung yun lang ang tinitingnan nyo, pwedeng mangyari, yung mayaman, mas lalong yayaman. Pero yung mahirap, hindi actually. So that is not a factor.
Well, not as much as the GDP, sir. And,
No, in terms of being from moving from a lower middle class to an upper middle class nation, that is not a factor.
Not necessarily po based on dun sa international standards, sir. Because the assumption is that based on the economic activity, ano na siya.
And NEDA is only concerned with yung macro na ganun. Hindi siya concerned of taking a look kung majority ba ng Filipinos ang buhay nila nag-i-improve or even with the increase of the GDP o GNP ay oonti lang ang umaakit rin talaga yung buhay. It doesn't matter.
Ay, hindi naman po, sir.
I'm asking, baka mali ang pagkasa. I don't mean to offend you.
Yes, sir.
Para we understand rin kung ano yung pwedeng role ng NEDA and paano namin kayo call upon to help us out in nation building.
Yes, sir.
Gusto namin malaman kung part rin ba ng calling ninyo is really to also take a look sana yung karamihan ba ng Pilipino umaangat ang buhay o hindi? Or is it merely the general basta umangat ang ekonomiya natin, doesn't matter kung konti o marami yan.
Yes, sir. So that's why, sir, we also look at other indicators like, of course, the poverty incidence, subsistence, and more importantly, yung Gini coefficient, yung inequality, kasi doon natin makikita kung sino yung nagbe-benefit doon sa growth of
that?
GDP.
What indicator?
That's the Gini coefficient, sir.
Yes, pakiulit lang para klaro sa lahat.
Gini coefficient po.
Gini coefficient.
It's basically says it's an indicator of income inequality across a population.
Yes. How you have that? The data?
I don't have it right now, sir.
Oh, but
it's
as far as
readily
available,
available po. It's readily available po with PSA.
Sige, can you submit it by Tuesday?
Yes, sir, definitely.
Yes. But you've seen it.
Yes, sir. Opo.
Oh, you've studied it.
Yes, naman. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So ano yung gaps and challenges doon?
Obviously yung poverty incidence kasi, sir, obviously nakapeg kasi siya sa income eh. The reality is the operational definition of our poverty is pegged on the income. Ngayon, what the Gini coefficient tells us is that if your GDP is increasing but the poverty is not in instances where the poverty is not then that's where you look at yung mga sectors that are not nakaka-enjoy nung that supposed growth or the economic activity. Now that's why we have programs like sort of, I don't want to use the term distribution of wealth, but of course yung mga welfare programs natin kasi in a way that's how you.
Does it factor into this thing or hindi?
Siguro, sir, partly yung education for all natin as a policy. It's one way of equalizing
so it is quite indirect.
Sorry, sir.
Parang hindi talaga siya hindi siya direct factor.
In some ways, yes, sir.
Yes. So saan natin nakikita ang education?
Well, first we have to look at education, sir, not as an expense, but as an investment.
Wala
sir.
natin yun eh. Parang
obviously-
nag-slogan pa tayo dito.
Yeah, I know, sir. But, so, sorry, apologies, sir. So yung,
So, Deputy Speaker, it's Human Development Index.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that correct?
yes, sir.
Yes. Oh, so that is one index that you take a look at also. You measure.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, okay tayo doon. I did nothing for NEDA to sound the alarm on. Parang,
Yeah, wala naman po. In terms of the HDI, I think we're doing okay.
yes. How do you measure this HDI? What are the factors?
It's education, access to electricity, and I think inflation. One more. I think those are
So,
three.
quality doesn't matter. As long as makuha niya yung degree niya, makatapos siya ng basic education niya, that is sufficient as a factor sa HDI niyan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So from the point of view of NEDA, quality is immaterial.
Well,
You are not the agency that we can ask about quality or what you can help out, how you can help out to ensure that there's quality or mabantayan nyo. Hindi kayo yan. Wala kayo dun.
most likely, sir, we're gonna look at some proxy indicators and the outcomes. Like if mataas ang underemployment, then maybe the issue is we have underskilled or a workforce who's not qualified to take on jobs. So we have some proxy indicators naman. Pero in terms of yung parang clear cut to actually indicator to say na this quality is I don't think we have that. I will admit.
Yes, Honorable Bordado?
Mr. Chairman, I am quiet stunned by the pronouncement made by the NEDA representative stating that quality education doesn't matter in the scheme of things.
It's not apologies if it came out that way. So given the limitations of the indicators, sir, that we of course there's some, like I said, may mga proxy tayo, like scores, exam scores. But then again,
In other words, for purposes of the Human Development Index, it doesn't, hindi siya factor. Yun lang naman sinasabi mo.
yes, sir, not necessarily.
Yun lang.
For that index, sir, no. Kasi ang tinitingnan lang dun is functional literacy rate. So, or attendance
Functional literacy
rate.
rate. Tama?
Yeah, functional literacy.
Yes, the functional literacy. So, as nabanggit mo na rin eh.
Yes, sir.
You are aware yung results natin sa PISA, or hindi naman directly yun. May SEA PLM, yung TIMS, yung iba naman. Pero yung PISA talaga kasi yan yung diretsyong yan yung diretsyo about functional literacy. And you know that World Bank or ADB came up with a statement that's saying na may learning loss na 90%, no? By learning loss, they defined it as what? They defined it as a 10-year-old learner not being able to read a simple or comprehend a simple text. Age appropriate yun, text. That doesn't, you mentioned kasi functional literacy. Hindi ba yun? So you're not concerned with that? There's nothing on that aspect that rings any alarm para sa inyo?
Well, of course, sir, may alarm naman.
But again, Neda, baka meron kayong ibang test. Baka mali naman yung PISA, baka mali yung survey ng ADB World Bank, baka hindi naman totoo lahat yun. Baka mali yung ibang NAT exams na nakita namin, baka meron kayong sarili. Sinasabi ninyo na functionally literate talaga, wala tayong problema. We have no problem with that. And industry already has told us also, no? Based on survey na parang kulang nga doon. But NEDA is saying na hindi.
Sir, hindi naman, pero of course we have various ways of addressing it when
Share mo naman sa amin.
so sir, for example, sir, yung lumalabas yung results of the surveys, of course we provide comments, we provide recommendations to our education agencies. Pero like I said, sir, we're an oversight agency, but at the same time we also look at provide for example, for development partners who wish to invest or wish to provide assistance on certain sectors, of course, it's one of the things that we point out. So in that ways, yun yung direct ano ng NEDA.
Yes, but you mentioned functional literacy. Saan nagpe-play a part ng function? Ikaw nag-bring up ng term eh. That's why ko na mention yung PISA and yung mga ano. Where does saan index pumapasok din sa tinitingnan nyo or some measurement that you use that for? Wala.
Dun sa HDI lang po, sir. For
Sa
me,
HDI.
yung as far as I remember.
Sige, attorney, we really appreciate your response, but I hope you understand. May frustration kami kasi NEDA is supposed to. We were hoping that you could also be part of, helping that pathway towards quality education. Sige, let's take a look na lang. We will also review again NEDA. Baka naman makatulong rin kayo talaga sa amin dito, di ba? Kasi kunyari job creation, ano ba kailangan i-focus ng ng CHED, ng DepEd? I would have assumed na sa inyo yun eh.
Yes, sir.
So just submit na lang ang paper kung saan pwede maging relevant ang NEDA with respect to quality education para maintindihan na namin and then we will get back to you.
Sir, we will submit as soon as possible. Thank you.
Salamat, attorney. Thank you. With that, the government agencies, okay na tayo? Did I not call? This is a government agency I did not call. Dole? Wait. Tapusin ko na. Dole, Department of Labor and Education. The deployment. Education lahat. Yes. Please state your name and your position in Dole.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I'm Jas Malinog po from the Bureau of Local Employment, Dole. I'm the Labor and Employment Officer 3.
Comments or clarifications on the unnumbered substitute measure or in the general concept of K+10+2?
Yes, sir. Regarding this bill, sir, of course we generally support it. And as to the employment of the youth or SHS graduates, sir, we actually recommend that we can provide them the CDSP service or the career development service, which is a program under the Bureau of Local Employment. So we can provide them counseling in order for them to facilitate their employment, sir. And actually, sir, based on our labor force survey for the month of August, we actually it actually shows that there's improvement in the youth participation when it comes to labor, and the employment rate for youth also improved for this year, sir.
Youth, anong age ulit tayo and paano nag-improve from what to what?
This, sir, it's from youth employment. It refers to SHS graduates until age 24, sir.
Anong klaseng work ang nakukuha nila? You would have that in your data too, ano?
So far, sir, I don't have the data.
Yes, so provide na lang by Tuesday?
Yes, sir.
O,
we
kasi
can provide that.
madali naman masabi na nag-improve, ano?
Yes, sir.
Do you include here, gaano katagal na, dapat long-term job to, ano? Or hindi?
Yes,
Employment?
sir. Long term.
Ano yung
There's
definition nyo ng
permanent.
long-term? Ano yung
Permanent.
para employment? Ano yung permanent?
Permanent, sir, it means that they have security of tenure, sir. And there's also contractual. And it shows that there's higher rate for the permanent position when it comes to youth employment. So there's they are secured when it comes to their employment.
Sige. Just submit lang by Tuesday yung data on that, including anong klaseng job, ano yung salary nung sa job na yon, di ba? And sabi niyo nga permanent na yon, ano yung percentage nila?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you po.
Okay. Could any Attorney Estrada from EDCOM 2?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair, from government din po. Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair and Deputy Speaker and former President Arroyo and members of the committee. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. For context, I'm here representing the Technical Secretariat of the Joint Congressional Commission on Education, and as part of our mandate to review assess and evaluate our education system in order for us to propose targeted transformative reforms in education. We are participating in deliberation of proposed measures in education, and our chairman is also our co-chair in the commission composed of senators and members of the House. Mr. Chairman, we have consolidated some points of concern and clarifications from our members of the standing committee and advisory council members. And yeah, and then generally, Mr. Chair, they welcome the changes from the original text of the bill as proposed, with the changes here introduced in this substitute bill, and especially on the on providing more focus on TESDA for better management and oversight of the TVL programs from the DepEd to the TESDA. And they're also trying to look at the pros and cons, Mr. Chair. And that's why I'd like to share some of the insights and clarifications from our advisory council and standing committee members. First is in relation to the transfer to TESDA po. The question is, will the TechVoc education pathway as provided in the bill be comparable to the college preparatory pathway in terms of duration? Because in the current bill, there is no clear guidance as to how long this pathway would take, if it will also take 2 years. Another question is, will TESDA have the capacity to train and assess the junior high school completers who will take the TechVoc education pathway? Because supposing that the current senior high school TVL learners will be the same learners who will take the TechVoc education pathway, there will be roughly close to 500,000 learners who will take on this option every year. If TESDA will manage the training, it will have to address the following constraints. Number one is current lack of trainers and assessors, lack of sufficient facilities and classrooms, need to adjust its training regulations to convert them to senior high school curricula. These are a few of the takeaways when you conducted your stakeholder consultation, Mr. Chair, in EDCOM. Next is the ladderized education program a functional system to allow completers of the TechVoc pathway to proceed to college or university as provided in the bill? Because in the current version of the bill, completers of the TechVoc pathway are allowed to proceed to higher education through the ladderized education program under RA 10647. However, as you may know, Mr. Chair, this law depends heavily on the implementation of the Philippine Qualifications Framework, and currently there is still no PQF NCC Permanent Secretariat, National Coordinating Council, and there has been very little movement in the development of pathways. And if this will not be addressed, completers of the TechVoc education pathway may be hindered from proceeding to college or university, or may have to take bridging programs. There is also an option to obtain certification from TESDA of eligibility for college admission, but it is unclear if TESDA has such technical capacity to assess college readiness. These are just clarifications, Mr. Chair, to help strengthen the proposal. And we have not come up with a definite position, but definitely the function of EDCOM is to lend expertise from our AC and SC members to strengthen education reforms, proposed education reforms. But lastly, Mr. Chair, I think there's also a fundamental question on the framework, because this may have also some unintended consequence, which also deserve more study, I guess, from us in EDCOM. First is in the current law, RA 10533, it is very clear that the senior high school, the additional 2 years after junior high, is part of secondary education. In fact, it has been also made part of the compulsory and mandatory education, and it's also affirmed by the Supreme Court in the Cotiscoop case in 2019. Now, under Section 3 of the current bill, it is no longer clear whether the 2 years optional is still part of basic education, or whether it is now pre-college or tertiary. And that characterization is important, Mr. Chair, because as you may know, secondary education is free. compulsory and mandatory. Now, if we move it, if it is no longer part of basic ed, then it is no longer free. And I suppose because it is already part of TESDA, it is no longer compulsory, meaning the junior high school completers after grade 10 would have an option to go to college or TVL. But since it is no longer compulsory and mandatory, not making an option at all would also be an option, meaning they stop at grade 10. And some unintended consequences, Mr. Chair, just looking ahead, would be displacement of senior high school teachers, for example, because not all current senior high school students or not all junior high school completers would proceed to senior high. And of course, there's also an option for those who will proceed to go to TVL, specifically TVL, wala na pong academic tracks. So these are the things that we are also trying to make some studies. We will share some data as soon as we have them. But these are the things that are initially shared with us and was asked to convey to the committee this morning, Mr. Chair. Salamat po.
Yes, thank you, Attorney Estrada. Pero we will just clarify it more. Pero maliwanag naman sa Section 4. Pagka magka-college ka, the curriculum will be developed by DepEd. So if you just want us to expressly state that it's still part of basic education, para libre siya, we will do that because that is the intention. DepEd is the one who's going to develop 11 and 12 curriculum. Pangalawa, Section 5 would now answer at least for TechVoc. Kakasabi lang kanina ni ating ED, na sa David, sabi niya sa atin kanina, in fact, meron silang may free vouchers rin sila. In fact, based on the budget, they probably got 14 billion or something. So malaki amount nila. The free will still, in fact, unlike what it is currently going through now, magiging libre talaga for sure pati yung assessment. Because it is also part, not only is it part of the budget itself, but it is also part of the law that amended the Unifast. The law that amended Unifast made it clear, hindi lang college yung libre. Pati naman yung TechVoc kasama doon sa libre. So I am wondering why these fears are being raised. Unless it is simply to protect certain interests. Because it is obviously, medyo obvious yung mga sagot sa mga problema It is all in the law. Thirdly, based on the number, there are about 30 to 36% of senior high school learners do not actually go to the academic track. They in fact go to the TechVoc track. And that is the very problem being raised not only by industry but also by learners. Na hindi nga sila natututo doon The skills are not enough. There are too many anecdotal, of course, pero stories saying that yung quality is not there. So, but we agree, we have to upgrade the quality, and I think we made that clear very early, that gusto natin upgraded talaga na test the quality. Ang hinahabol namin dito is not merely to amend the K-12 law, but facts showed PISA, we did not do well. PLM, we did not, TIMS did not do well. All surveys, even industry has stated, they prefer a 2-year a learner has gone to 2 years in college bago nila tanggapin. Itong mga problema ng the PQF has not been formulated properly o hindi pa. It's the same thing. Then let us force the agencies to start working. Yan yung problema. Parang implementing rules yan. Bringing up ni Deputy Speaker Arroyo earlier. We are leaving it to a few agencies and departments to decide the fate of our learners when we know there is a problem. So at the end of the day, let's for those who are too protective of K-12, hindi naman mawawala completely yan Nandiyan na yan. Do not be too selfish to think that since kayo yung authors nito ay hindi na pwedeng magalaw yan. You have to think of the learners of the Philippines rather than legacies that you have done at the end of the day. Hindi ganun ang that's how you want to proceed. Sa akin if we don't want merely to be listening to clarificatory questions, we want, kung mali kami, Kung mali yung unnumbered substitute bill, give us your proposal on how to improve our scores in PISA, how to improve quality in the of quality of education in the Philippines, how to ensure that what Neda was talking about earlier na ang mini-measure lang naman nila talaga yung buong economy, but individually hindi natin alam kung more than majority ang natutulungan Yan yung akin So I did not see any or I did not hear anything in the comments which would in fact help us improve quality. What you are doing is putting stumbling blocks for reforms to be done. But that is not the way move forward. We should help each other with alternative suggestions on how to improve quality and not say, hindi pa yan kasi libre ba yan o hindi? Sa Section 4, libre pa rin yan. We will clarify that if that is the problem, but that is not a big stumbling block. You're mentioning the law itself. This is a law. When this is passed, this is a law. This will amend anything anyway. So hindi issue yan So we want to hear actually yung substantive changes that are alternatives so that we improve quality. Yes, Attorney Estrada.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just would like to clarify yung pong concern on the free, on whether it's part of basic education, because right now the source of compulsoriness and free elementary and high school education is the Constitution, not which provides that elementary and high school. Yes, sir. Yeah. That's why.
People panic na biglang hindi na pala libre. Well, that can be fixed by the wording.
No. Yeah.
It's not yun yung hindi ko maintindihan
Mr. Chair, hindi lang po yung whether it's libre, but whether it is compulsory. Because in
for those who would want to go to university or colleges.
But but that is
telling us na baka mamaya wala na mag-college. Is that the fear that wag mababa ang tingin sa Pilipino. Ang baba ng tingin niya sa Pilipino. Ang Pilipino gusto nila quality education. They will go to colleges and universities because they want to be the best that they can be. Don't preempt the way Filipinos think. Hindi lahat elitista. Ang kahit yung marami diyan talagang gusto nila right education. They will go for their college as long as we provide them quality education.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, for the record, wala pa pong position naman yung EDCOM at pag-uusapan nyo pa rin naman po. They're not against the bill, but what we're saying is, of course, if we're introducing reforms, we want to have some compulsion to make it work, and that's why dun po sa opening statement nyo po, kasi that's very clear also for all AC and SC members po kasi whether it's still optional yung 2 years after junior high school. I think yun po ang in simple terms. That's why I'm saying earlier, kasi if it is still part of basic education, then there's no question it is compulsory, mandatory, and it's also free. But if it is optional, then not all junior high school completers will exercise the choice of going to college or TVL, but some will just stop right there at junior high school, and we don't want that also. That's why we're suggesting and we're clarifying this so that we can make some concrete suggestions on the wording of the bill.
What will be compulsory? 11 and 12 will be compulsory for basic education if you will proceed to colleges and university. That is the intent. If you feel that it will not be covered by the constitutional requirement, then give us a paper on that and why it will not be covered. But I hope it is not driven by business or industry because mawawala ng estudyante yung mga ibang schools. I hope that is not the driving force here. And again, the fear that Filipinos will not go to college universities. I know Filipinos are better than what you look upon on them. I think they will proceed to college universities. Gabi, Honorable Bernardo.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. May I move that the unnumbered House bill, which is an act providing education pathways for basic education students and appropriating funds, therefore, be approved?
Second, Mr.
Yeah.
Chair.
Second, Mr. Chair.
There is a motion by the Honorable Bordado, duly sent by the Honorable Emano, Honorable Roque, and Honorable Saulog, and Honorable Rodriguez, that we approve the unnumbered substitute measure on the entitled an act providing education pathways for basic education students and appropriate funds therefore. Is there any objection? Having heard all the government agencies already, and there's a motion, be hearing no objection, the same is approved. Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Mr.
But
Chair,
can we, yes, Honorable Roque.
may I move that everyone present here right now be co-authors of the bill as well.
There's a motion by the Honorable Roque and duly sent by the Honorable Emano that all members of this committee who wish to become principal authors indicates such intent with the COMSEC. Is there any objection? Chair, hearing none, same is approved. Could we also ask our the resource persons, especially from the private, most have already submitted position papers, but after hearing all this, is there anyone who wishes to say anything first? Yes, Benjo, ladies first, then okay. Yes. State your name and the association or federation or group that you belong with. For the members who have to rush to any other meeting, I think the meet has already been finished anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pamela Briones, Secretary General, also coming from TEPSAPIL. Our group is a Technical and Vocational School and Association of the Philippines Incorporated. We have been supporting TESDA also with all their programs and their advocacy. Just to say, you have stated a lot of certain issues. That is also a domino effect, like coordination between agencies. Also, funding also is arising. Employers not, sorry for the term, accepting or supporting 100% of our TechVoc graduates. And also with regards to all of this, some of these issues that we have raised, may we also suggest, by the way, we have submitted our position paper, a classification of the product-oriented track and also the service-oriented track.
Yes.
So because we have seen, and aside from that, the third recommendation is also have an industry board. So in which we would also invite trade experts, because there is many willing. In our field, by the way, I am inclined with emergency medical services. Our graduates actually have encountered, the graduate of emergency medical services, NC2 and NC3, have encountered difficulties like what you have raised. Employers or private companies who are not accepting the NCs abroad, but there is a huge but. TESDA have done a huge leap of improvement with regards to the quality of education. But again, the raise of the question is there enough instructors? Is there enough assessors? And why is it not enough? Is it because of the investment also? That is quite difficult. Now, with regards to that, I will deal with the service sector first. With regards to the service sector, we have many partners coming from abroad who is willing to benchmark here to share their expertise. We all actually have already, we were opened with the invitation with TESDA to share that information with TESDA, so that industry experts can also share inputs in improving the quality of services, the quality of trainings that TESDA have been engaging with, so that our TechVoc graduate can be at par and be accepted globally, not only in a specific country.
Right.
Because definitely Filipino are very, very good. And I will agree with your thought on that. Aside from that, on the product-based, I've been in many provinces. I was overwhelmed that silkworm, that specific cocoon production was available in La Union. I was there in recently. They have benchmarked in a specific country and have developed a TESDA program with regards to this. So what I'm trying to cite is not only this. TESDA have many products from many successful ITAs, our indigenous people. I think we can also collaborate with Department of Tourism, collaborate with other agencies such as the private sector, because NGOs also have been supporting TESDA program and have been buying their products. So I think the government would be able to be a huge help in disseminating this information, because the problem is who to buy.
Yes,
So,
the market.
Who to buy this product. If we Filipinos are buying all the needs that we wanted, all the equipment, the tools, the resources, buying it from other countries wherein we have it here in the Philippines and we are not aware of that. So probably we can also, like, the key take here is collaboration. Many agencies have done their best effort in improving CHEDEP, NEDA, and everybody. But I guess you are correct also. I would agree that the coordination is the one that is lacking. And we from TEBSAFIL is very much willing to be of help to the agency. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you also.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes. Sir Benjo, and then we go, pag ano na tayo pwede. Sir Benjo Basas from Teachers Dignity Coalition.
Yes, sir. Magandang umaga po. Good morning po sa lahat, sa mga members po. Especially sa ating author, the former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Maya pa abak po, ma'am. And this bill po is really timely, no, na mapag-usapan kasi we've been I will use the term, no, excuse me for the term. We've been suffering, no, from this K-12 implementation, no, for a decade, more than a decade in fact, no. At nakita na po natin yan, lahat po ng pangako nitong K-12, no. There were 3 promises during that time. One is global competitiveness, readiness sa college education, and 3, employability, no. Unfortunately, hindi po nakuha yung lahat ng ito, no. And dito po sa ground, no, lalo na sa ating mga magulang, even among our teachers, ay nakikita po nila, no, na mukhang kailangan, ano, magkaroon ng review or even amendment, no, to this law. And we think, no, collectively, no, in our organization, we think that this measure po, no, will really, no, try to kumbaga anohin po, no, to implement, no, the supposed purpose, no, of the K-12 law, no, na way back in 2012, no. Meron lamang po kami syempre, no, na mga gusto pong i-clarify, no. Una, yun pong basic education po natin, no, ang pinakamalaki niyang kailangan is the basic needs, no po, no. So kung bakit po hindi naging mahusay yung implementation ng K-12 law ay hindi po talaga naibigay, no, yung lahat ng basic needs, no, based on its mandate supposedly, no. Gaya po nung halimbawa, ang pinakamalaking challenge po natin ay nandoon sa senior high school, no. Nakita na rin po yan, no, ng PIDS, no, nakita ng World Bank, pinabanggit niyo po kanina, at yung CHR, no, merong isang napakagandang dokumento yung CHR na nilabas, no, na pwede po nating tignan, ano, tungkol po dito, no. At of course, no, doon nakita natin, ano, na even yung ating mga teachers na pinagtuturo ay hindi naman talaga match yung kanilang training, no, doon sa tinuturo nila, especially sa K-12, no. At kulang din po tayo ng mga teachers sa TechBook, no, dito sa K-12 sa TechBook track, no. At mukhang ito yung gustong i-resolve, no, nung batas po na ito, no. Gusto lamang rin naman po namin sabihin, ano, na ibig sabihin kahit po tumagal tayo ng K-15, K-20, kung hindi po ibibigay, no, yung basic needs na education sector, baka mabigo, no. Baka after 10 years, no, upon the passage of this bill, no, which I think, no, ay mukhang papasa naman dahil inapprove na po, no, at least dito sa level, no, ng komite, no, ito pong bill na ito, na baka after that meron na namang isang kongresista, no, na mag-file na naman, ano, ng amendment. So yun po yung aming challenge, hindi ko na po pakahabaan. Gusto lang rin naman po namin sigurong makita yung program, no, doon po sa mga authors at saka sa committee, no, ano po yung mangyayari doon sa mga bata, no, na will opt not to seek, no, college education or even TechBook, no? Kasi pag 16 years old tapos sila na grade 10, at least meron na silang diploma, no? Parang yun po yung isa, no? may diploma na sila, na high school graduate na sila, at least junior high school, no? Sa K-12 po kasi walang ganun, no? Sa ating current, no? Pag hindi ka nagtapos ng grade 12, hindi ka talaga high school graduate. Unlike before, no? 16 years old po tayo, graduate po tayo ng high school, no? So yun po ay gusto namin ding makita, no? And of course, yung pag-enhance din ng senior high school. Napaka-importante. Isa po sa mga binanggit ng K-12 nung 10 years ago, ang sinasabi po dito, mare-reduce yung mga subjects, no, doon sa freshman, no, ng college, no, pero hindi po nangyari yun, no. In fact, nag-overlap pa nga yung mga subjects sa academic track po, no, dito sa senior high school, no, ay kinukuha din, no, sa general education program po ng mga tertiary po natin, ano. And then baka humaba, pero yun lang po. Well, for the sections 4 and sections 4 and 5, mukhang kailangan po talaga natin ng budget, at kailangan po, no, of course, again, I will use the term yung collaboration po, no, lahat ng mga ahensya ng gobyerno, and of course, no, yung ating mga kami po, no, sa civil society at doon sa teachers organizations and unions, no. And one last thing, sana po, no, hindi naman ma-deprive, no, nung employment din, no, yung iba nating mga kapatid, no. Hindi ko po sasabihin na napoporse ko yon, Mr. Chair, no. Pinapanalangin ko, no, sa Panginoon na sana hindi ma-deprive, no. And of course, no, ay i-consider, no, ng ating ng Kongreso, no, sa pagpasa ng batas na ito ay matiyak po natin, ano, yung job security ng mga kapatid po natin na nasa teaching profession. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sir Benjo, no, para maliwanag rin sa lahat, I think this should also be read with the other laws, other bills that we are taking up. One, yung e-GASPE, yung expansion ng e-GASPE. Isa sa mga problema ng K-12, and it was not prepared before its implementation, in 2013 to 2016, we did not see that, the number of classrooms na kulang. Kasi nung nag-add tayo ng senior high school, ang nangyari, hindi naman sapat yung number of classrooms na na-build. At this point in time, ang sinasabi, 165 or 159,000 yung kulang. Meron tayo mga private schools that we have to ensure yung quality ng private schools na natin, that we want to expand the GASPE. In fact, gusto natin grades 1 to 6 and 11 and 12, probably to institutionalize that. Kasi wala namang batas covering 11 to 12. So we want to also institutionalize that. Secondly, yung career progression bill, which is already sa amin as a committee on appropriations na ata by now. So hopefully that will ensure that. Ngayon, yung issue po, nung pag-address natin nung kakulangan nung yung baka mawala ng trabaho. Unang-una, no, sa number of teachers natin compared to the number of students, hindi nga equal yung ratio eh. Hindi ko maintindihan eh. Why this, bakit natin binabanggit? Alam mo ba natin na yung ratio, mas maraming, hindi tama yung ratio ng student and teacher eh. Malaki masyado yung classroom eh. And for you to be one of those who are really defending our teachers, ang gusto natin, ideal class size. Oh, if we reach that point, in fact, yun yung isang aim, to reach the ideal class size. Para yung teacher naman makafocus. So, right now, I do not see paano may mawawala ng trabaho. Kasi hindi nga tayo ideal class size right now eh. So, para sa akin, yung mga pag binabanggit po yan, ay it's an unnecessary stumbling block para lang to raise fears. But if you look at it, kayo rin naman nagsasabi sa amin nga pala na hindi nga tama yung teacher-student ratio eh. Eh para ayusin natin to, we have to be able to ensure na kunyari yung TESDA, they should play a part pag TechVoc kasi sila naman expert dun eh. If you will note, sa section unnumbered substitute measure, hindi namin binanggit yung mga track standard, yung mga strands na ito because ang tingin namin personally, some of us think na kailangan na focus natin sa 11 and 12 is still functional literacy. Siguraduhin natin marunong magbasa, nakakaintindi, mas complex na sa because matalino ang Pilipino eh. Ang ginangyari ngayon, nagbe-bridging tayo pagdating ng college eh. Kahit yung 11 to 12 natin, nagbe-bridging pa rin tayo pagdating ng college. So tigil na natin, we should not, hindi natin dapat bubugin ng napakaraming tracks, subjects na ang accounting natin. We have an accounting class, di ba, sa 11 and 12? Hindi lahat na nagtuturo ng accounting natin sa accounting class eh yung talagang tamang teacher, di ba? I mean, kulang rin tayo doon. Is that correct? Or mali ba yung data na nakita ko? Sa mic na lang, Sam, para maliwanag.
Opo, Mr. Chair, meron tayo accountancy, business, and management. We call it the senior high school ABM.
Do we have
under
enough specialized
academic.
teachers for this subject? Yes or no?
No.
So yung mga proponents na gusto nila mapanatili yung K-12 now, yung mga iba-ibang fears na nire-raise nila, ang gusto nila, tuloy-tuloy tayo sa ganitong standard na hindi naman talaga nagtutugma yung expertise ng teacher sa tinuturo niya eh. Kasi overburdened din, ang daming pinapagawa sa teachers eh. It's about time. Sina-champion nyo nga sa amin yung Magna Carta for public school teachers. So I think you should be in complete support of what we are doing in fact, because we want in fact to bring that to life. Di ba? Yes, Sir Benjo.
Po, maraming salamat po. No, that's actually our point po. No, ang dami nating basic problems sa basic education. That will be, of course, should be dealt with. With basic solutions din. Yun gaya nung class size na sinasabi po ninyo. Just to clarify, sir, kasi yung textbook natin, seemingly bibigay na natin ito doon sa TESDA, which is tama rin naman. Dahil sa DepEd talaga nahihirapan din naman kumuha ng competent textbook teachers. In fact, doon sa K-12 law, pinayagan nga kahit hindi eligible ay pwedeng magturo doon po sa textbook. So, yun sir, kung yung Kongreso ay nandoon po sa commitment na i-address itong mga issue po na ito, wala naman po kaming problema, and hindi po naman namin na just want to just want to reiterate din that we support any move to make this K-12 law better, and sabi ko nga po initially the commitment or the collective wisdom of our group po leaning towards the support for this bill. Sinabi na rin na po namin naman yan sa public. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Sir Benjo. Yes, sorry. Dr. Phoenix, and then Dr. Sorola after, one by one, last three.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the invitation for us to be present here today. All of the discussion, that's really what it is, that the state of our education and training system needs a lot of improvement. But I think the intent of this law is not as clearly stated as it is written today. I think the intent of this law is really that the Enhanced Education Act of 2012 had two objectives. It said to prepare them better for tertiary education and to prepare them for the world of work. So that's why in the deliberations, I was reading through some of it. There were some congressmen that were saying, why not give to TESDA the preparation for work? Because rather than keeping it in DepEd, so we strongly support this from industry and from business. This bill authored, principal author is Deputy Speaker, on really, and it should be clearly stated here that this law will amend the Enhanced Education Act, taking away the textbook livelihood track from DepEd and giving it to TESDA to implement and to do something about it. And of course, all of the budgets and all of the facilities that have been put up by DepEd should also be turned over to TESDA, with regards to textbook. And this other section here on section 3, I would recommend that don't call it junior high school. Just call it plain high school. And those that finish grade 12, then you give them a senior high school diploma. But don't call it junior high school because it lowers the title, no? But if you say, oh, I'm a high school graduate, and then, of course, in other places, the high school graduate is 12. But here, high school graduate is 10. Fine. And we've been happy with high school graduates of only 10 grades. in the past. No? And I went through that myself. No? Then as I said, it has to be a clearer section here that says the tech book livelihood track, and even the music and the arts and the athletics track, bring it all to TESDA. And let TESDA be the one to be responsible and to implement it. No? And DepEd will concentrate on preparing them for tertiary education, academic in effect. No? So there should be such a statement in this bill. So it's very, very clear. Now, the other one that I can see here is that there is no timetable as to when this is going to be implemented. And it seems, and there were some discussion earlier about, no, we have to wait for, whether or not we wait for the IRR, doesn't matter. No? But much better that you put in the law that this should be done by the next school year, 2024-2025. That this whole thing is transferred now to TESDA. And the preparatory work should be done until that 2024, July 2024. Okay, and what was the other one that I had here? Well, the only thing I can also add here, but that's not really necessary, is that in the writing of the IRR, I think CHED should not be involved. It should only be DepEd and TESDA.
Thank you, Dr. Phoenix. We understand what you were saying. You had
one more thing. The PCCI has set up a education task force, and Attorney Erap was one of the members. And we came up with a paper called "Reform Our Education, Transform Our Future." Because really, our education and training system, everybody knows it's shot. So now we concentrated on coming up with recommendations on how we can improve it now. So there are 3 chapters in that, and it contains recommendations. And one of the recommendations is precisely this, that we move the textbook livelihood track to TESDA for them to implement. And then one of the other recommendations is to amend the National Qualifications Framework law into a National Qualifications Authority. Because right now, there's nothing there. So it's just really saying, okay, we should establish a national framework. National Qualification Framework should be established. But what happens after that? And up to now, it really has not been implemented. No. But if you make it an authority, and we can follow the model of the New Zealand Qualifications Authority, which is part of the New Zealand Education Act, I think the EDCOM should look at that New Zealand Education Act, because it's really complete as to how to deal with our education, with the education training system in Canada, in New Zealand. Just some more suggestions. And we're prepared to sit down with you and EDCOM to discuss all these recommendations that we have. And I was trying to interact it down with the Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Phoenix. We understand what you're saying, and I'm sure all the members will consider all the points that you have raised. Attorney Alarcon?
Well, of course, we would always like to reiterate our position, which we have already submitted to you, Mr. Chair. However, if this bill will be the one to enhance further the quality of education, the small and medium-sized private schools wholeheartedly supports the bill. We only would like to reiterate, we are very thankful you mentioned about the K-6, because it would really help the small and medium-sized schools once that's implemented, because most the small and medium-sized private schools, we are the feeder schools for the big schools. So this would really enhance, would help greatly. And finally, in the section 13, we only request that once there is the for the implementing rules and regulation, please include the small and medium-sized schools represented by the Federation of Associations, because definitely most of our member schools has to understand the beauty of this bill, that they will not be affected in their management, in their operation and administration of their schools. Yun lang po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Alarcon. But Section 13 deals with government agencies. So I think the government agencies will consult with the different education stakeholders before they come up with their IRR.
Yeah, hopefully the small and medium-sized private schools will not be
Left out. Yes.
because I think we will be able to provide a lot of inputs that would affect the small and medium-sized private schools.
Yes, we know that. That's why we have the e-GASP, expanded GASP. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I will be able to report that to the small and medium-sized private schools that the K-6 would be passed. It can be approved soon so that I can give that news to them. Mr. Chair.
Hopefully, that is what we intend. But again, we will have to pass through plenary.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am, you're raising your hand.
Reg Civilisibal po from NPTA. So again, NPTA expresses its full support to the bill as upon our consultation with the regional representatives or representatives nationwide. There are just some points of clarification that we would like to raise. One is that the bill emphasizes on the youth, but we also want to expand this to include beyond the youth, as we also have parents who are returning to school, especially during the pandemic, so that the bill does not just discriminate ethnicity or others, but also include age. We also acknowledge and thank you for also providing provisions on the accessibility through financial support. However, as moving forward, we also want to have a clarification on how this can further strengthen existing laws on support, particularly the GASP law, and among other things that support this. One of the concerns that was raised was regarding TESDA, as we also emphasize that though there are existing scholarships, we hope that there are mechanisms to make these more accessible to our students, particularly as they avail of the TechVox strand. We have always been firm in reiterating also that if DepEd has provisions for mandatory testing similar to NAT, why was it not rolled out that TESDA, rather TechVoc exams be mandatory for those who are undergoing TechVoc strand if there are already existing mechanisms in the current system? We know that there has been an existing Philippine qualifications framework, so in 2012, and that is the one that emphasizes even up to NC5. However, the challenge is really in how the law is already there, and we wish that this law, or rather this bill, emphasizes the compliance to the Philippine qualifications framework, but the mechanisms to roll this out is more challenging. Some of these provisions were mentioned, which include capacitating not just testing center students, but also the teachers. But we also want to emphasize how we also can further capacitate returning. Perhaps we can have an incentive for returning master skilled workers, similar to a Balik Scientist program, which can be embedded within the Philippine qualifications framework. Another clarification is, as we are also expanding pathways for our learners, we also are curious about, is there an equivalency? Let's say a TechVoc or a skilled worker wants to return back to school after several years of rendering service. Is there an equivalency or an eligibility program that would qualify this without that person coming back to going back to senior high school? Because we believe that some of our parents and even our parents themselves may have this particular issue. And as we mentioned, we just wanted, whether it's in this bill or in the IRR, how we can further strengthen the collaboration. I mean, it is already emphasized that we collaborate, regard, and consult. However, since K-12 seems from the discussions today, there should be a more regular or a stronger mechanism for our implementing agencies for collaboration and consultation, so that not just the curriculum, but the other mechanisms for quality assurance and other programs and funding, and even in the collaboration for, as we mentioned, the sectoral transition plan, to be able to shift from the old, or rather not the old, but rather the K-12 system to the K+10+2 system. And because we believe that the law would have to support us, we fully support this, but again, for point of clarification, some of the concerns, and as well as we hope that there would really be a stronger collaboration between the partners and agencies, and maybe just the point, putting up in the air, maybe there's a need also to institutionalize this, not just implied, because I think from what has happened in the K-12 is there's really some gaps in terms of how they do their consultation and collaboration. That's it. Thank you.
Have you submitted already in writing?
We will submit within the
Yes, including if you have wordings to improve so that the members can consider that also.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Opo. Ladies first, Attorney Abad, then yes.
Maraming salamat po. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. The Philippine Association of Colleges and Universities would just like to emphasize that as part of the member schools, we try to uphold quality education, and we believe that education is a pathway to eradication of poverty and the improvement of the economy. Now, in as much as you are already discussing pathways to either TESDA or the college, Your Honor, the option is now given to the students, but then again, do we continue likewise with the academic freedom of the both private and public schools to determine whether or not they will offer TESDA track as well?
Actually, the intention was really to transfer it completely to TESDA.
To TESDA. So if there are particular schools right now with SHS TESDA tracks, they're supposed to give it up to the TESDA na?
In fact, Attorney Abad, I think, especially if you're talking about private schools,
Yes, Your Honor.
maybe you could give us some suggestions on that
Yes,
for
Your-
consideration of the members.
Yes, Your
Because
Honor.
of course, in your case, in the private schools, I think you can, hindi naman kayo overburden yung teachers ninyo, and I think probably it could find some place in the bill.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, also probably we would be given an opportunity to submit a supplemental position paper because we had submitted previously. Now with this particular substitute bill, I was also thinking about some kind of logistical and financial support from the government for industry and academic leakages.
Yes. In fact, Attorney Abad, my intention as chairperson of this committee would be to get all your position papers,
Thank
to
you.
have a new draft,
Yes, Your Honor.
and that has been approved by the members, but to show every member, and then to call all of you again to another meeting such as this, so that we can iron it out before we proceed to signing it for the plenary.
Okay.
That's my intention.
Maraming salamat po, Your Honor.
Yes.
And have a good day.
Yes, have a good day, Attorney Abad. Yes, Dr. Luis Sorolla Jr.
Thank you, Your Honor. As a former university president and now with CHED as a member of the technical panel, I fully agree and support with the intention of the substitute bill because I have seen that it provides a more direct approach to providing the solution to the existing programs that we have, which my opinion, personal opinion, is it's quite circuitous, no, as of the moment. But I'm concerned with the training of teachers because I agree with Director Bungalon, who said that many of our teachers are pirated by either local industries or abroad, mainly abroad. And so my contention is if we can make some possible adjustments so that we provide first additional training for many of our teachers to equip them with all the necessary skills to equip them with the skills for teaching textbook schools. And secondly, if there will be some mechanism wherein TESDA and CHED, especially the state universities and colleges can have faculty exchange programs so that the expertise of one may be utilized by the other. That's a contention. Yes.
We know that, but Dr. Sorolla would not be the primary driver or teacher, would really be the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason for all this is that we really want industry to play the biggest role here because they would exactly know what is needed by the industry, what skills are needed, and that is for us the best teacher. But we understand what you're talking about, what you're referring to. But primarily, I think the intention, based on my conversations with members who are with this bill, is that it will be driven by industry primarily.
Yeah.
So I hope, but we will take note, and if you have suggestions, please provide us in writing.
Yeah.
But again, just to be clear, we really want this industry driven at the end of the day. That's why the industry boards that we're being referred to, we were listening to that, but we really want to develop at the end of the day. We want quality jobs once they're finished, and the assurance we will get there is they get the proper instructions and training from the industry itself.
Yeah.
That is the
Perhaps
intention.
a more functional collaboration could be made between industries and the academics through what we call industry immersion, where some of our teachers can be provided with experiences in industry so that they are better equipped when they go back to the academy.
We understand that. And we will consider that, and we will also wait for your suggestions on wordings on that. But I think we understand each other. That we really want industry to be the trainers here, to be the ones to take the lead. Skills training, so practical talaga rin siya. And we have a lot of good private technical schools here, but unfortunately, hindi talaga nabibigyan pa ng bigger role. So that's what we want.
Yeah, agree. And in so doing, the training that we provide will be more relevant.
Yes,
to what they
correct.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Sino-sunod? Vlad.
Yes, Mr. Chair, magandang hapon at salamat po at sa ating mga kasama di sa bulwagang ito. Teacher Vlad po, ang pambansang pangulo ng Alliance of Concerned Teachers. Sa ating kapatid sa DepEd, magandang tanghali po sa inyo lahat. Bali, Mr. Chair, huwag niyo po kami papagalitan. Lagi namin sinasabi na wala namang masama sa sa pagbabago, no? Pero sana naman anumang mga eksperimento, sana laging tuon ang pansin ay sa kabutihan talaga ng ng ating mga teachers at sa ating mga mag-aaral. Mr. Chair, ang naratibo ko ay nanggagaling sa kasaysayan, no? Kasi marami na tayong curriculum mula nung dumating mga Amerikano at yung pinakahuli ay yung K-12. At ano pangarap ng K-12? Tatlo lamang. Kolehiyo, trabaho, negosyo. Sa explanatory notes noong ating dating Pangulo, sinasabi niya, palpak ang K-12. Ngayon, nagkakaroon na naman tayo ng bagong curriculum, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, ang Alliance Concerned Teachers ay matagal na nananawagan ng kalidad ng edukasyon. Nagkakaisa tayo dyan. Sinasabi ng konstitusyon yan. Pero Mr. Chair, ang kapalpakan ng K-12, hindi naman nangahulugan na magiging ikabubuti ng ating tinatawag na substitute bill. Sa ngayon, Mr. Chair, ang aming position paper ay nakabatay pa sa luma, dun sa 7893, na maraming natuwa ang mga magulang dahil magiging optional na lamang yung senior high school. Pero ngayon, Mr. Chair, ay parang lumalabas na may dalawang pathways. Ang tinatawag na pathways na kung saan ay CPP pa, CPP, College Preparatory Program, at isa ay TVP o Technical Vocational Program. So lalabas, Mr. Chair, sa esensya, ganun pa rin. Bago ka magkarehiyo, dalawang program yung dadaanan mo. Mr. Chair, tingin namin ay kung hindi mariresolbahan yung tatlong bagay, tingin natin, Mr. Chair, ay maulit at maulit yung karanasan natin sa PISA, sa TEAMS, at yung sinasabing mababang IQ. Kaya meron kaming 5 initial na pauna, Mr. Chair, at ibibigay namin bilang position paper. Una, yung tatlong pangangailangan. Sumunod yung isang tuon at isang proseso. Nabanggit na ng ating mga kasama, si Atty. Estrada, ng ating kasama sa TDC, at kayo mismo, Mr. Chair, na napakahalaga nito at kailangan balikan din. Bakit ba number 1 ang mga nasa TEAMS at PISA? Yung tatlong pangangailangan. Ang pagtaas ng sahod, pag-hire ng mga teacher, reduce class sizes, at pagresolba sa mga pangangailangan. Napakahalaga nito, Mr. Chair, doon sa pagkakaroon ng kalidad ng edukasyon. Kagagaling lamang natin sa Phuket. Alam nyo, Mr. Chair, 4 na oras lamang nagtuturo ang mga guro doon. At ang kanilang natitirang 2 oras, required silang nasa loob ng paaralan, pero sila po ay nagre-research. Pero mga teacher po, dito sa Pilipinas, Mr. Chair, pag pumunta ka po sa Bulacan, meron pa pong 8 oras. Pag pumunta ka po sa Nueva Ecija, meron pang 12 oras. Mr. Chair, kulang rin. Pumunta ka po sa San Jose del Monte, walang araling panlipunan sa grade 7 at grade 10. At yung pang-4, Mr. Chair, ay tuon. Mahalaga ito, Mr. Chair. Nagkakaisa tayo na kailangan talagang baguhin ng K-12. Pero ang papalit ba sa K-12 ay sa esensya ay kaiba ng K-12. Tingin natin ay hindi dapat simpleng palitan, kundi i-overhaul ito, pero dapat doon sa pangangailangan talaga nung bayan natin, critical at kailangan ng bayan, hindi yung obsessed tayo doon sa maging ang manggagawa natin ay maging manggagawa sa ibang mga bansa. At ang pang-5, Mr. Chair, mahalaga din ito at natutuwa tayo sa committee ito, lagi tayong inimbitahan, yung proseso mismo na dapat ay laging ginagawa, yung tinatawag na at ensure yung bottom-up process ng pagkakaroon ng pag-review at sa mga ganito mga bagay. Ilang Mr. Chair, maraming salamat.
Vlad, kung meron kayong suggestion alternative sa K-12, because I think clear naman sa inyo na hindi rin effective, ano? Tama ba ako? Or mali? Hindi effective.
Yes,
so kung
Mr.
meron
Chair.
kayong alternative, again, submit nyo lang sa amin. We will consider everything.
Yes, Mr.
End of the day, yung paggawa natin ng multiple education pathways, this will promote quality. Kasi end of the day, ang importante, kung sino talaga ang marunong sa industriya, siya ang magtuturo ng skills. Kasi gusto natin, quality yung matututunan doon. Yung sa academics po, sa totoo, ayaw na ng, personally, ayoko na makailam ng curriculum. But if you will note, I think we have been very clear in all committee meetings. We really hope na isimplify na yung curriculum natin. We don't have to complicate our curriculum. The Filipino learner is smart. What we need is to ensure na nasa kanila yung basics. Yun din ang gusto namin. But we don't want to legislate a curriculum or anything. But I think clear naman sa sa DepEd kung ano naman talaga ang sense ng Congress about simplifying our education just to ensure na equip ang bawat learner for the next level that they will go to. Para habang nagiging complex man siya, ay handa sila. They can meet up with the challenge. Hindi katulad ngayon, nandun pa nga tayo sa reading comprehension na age-appropriate na basic na sinasabi na 90% learning loss. E paano nga, as you increase the level, mas hirap eh. So we want to fix everything from bottom up. We want to go through that path. Yun naman talaga ang totoo. Attorney Abalos, you were raising your hand.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Again, thank you for this invitation. Ang TEDSA Philpo Technical Education Vocational Schools in the Philippines. We are going to submit also our position paper kung hindi pa ho kami nakapag-submit. And we laud the intentions of the bill. Specifically the authors headed by our former president and DS, kailang malis na po si ma'am, and lahat po ng co-authors. We know that ang intention po nito is really to fix the education system, and I just want to emphasize po, there's I think a pending allocation 1.5 billion for TESDA for the assessment of senior high. I think I already mentioned earlier that pwede naman po i-mandatory ng DepEd sa mga private schools ang assessment, and that is already covered under the voucher program. So if there is a additional funding of 1.5, of course, that will benefit the private schools para hindi na po kami gagastos para sa assessment, which is 500 more or less. Number 2, nakapag-meeting po kami with the ex-OFWs. I don't know if there's a Department of Migrant Workers here, pero they are appealing that their skills be utilized. So sana po matignan po ng TESDA na ito pong mga ex-OFWs natin na the work perhaps 10 to 15 years abroad, na napakaganda po ng mga skills nila, dapat nagagamit po nila dito sa Pilipinas when they come back. So I hope TESDA can come out with a program to easily accredit itong pong mga ex-OFWs natin. Pangatlo, let us endeavor, of course, kami po nasa tech box sector, we are hoping that TESDA can fix the system para po yung NC2 po natin will be recognized not just in the region, ASEAN, but also worldwide. Sa ngayon po kasi ang NC2 po natin is the least valuable NC2 or national certificate, let's face it, hindi po siya talaga recognized in other countries eh. So we really need to fix that. So yun po. And pang-apat, of course, we wanted to see that ato pong sa K+10+2 bill, once nag-materialize po, maayos na po ang sistema po ng between DepEd and TESDA because they do not see each other eye to eye, Mr. Chair. So we hope that they can really work together. Magkatabi naman po kayo dito ngayong hapon. So I hope that you can really get your numbers to para pa mag-usap po kayo. And lastly po, Mr. Chair, we recognize po na yung pong functional literacy is a big problem. And I hope NEDA, considering that you have approved projects billions, you would consider that Philippines has a demographic sweet spot. 75% of our population is young. So dapat po we should invest ito po sa young natin. For the next generation, we will have good leaders, we will have better business managers and all that. So Mr. Chair, thank you very much for this invitation.
Thank you, Attorney Abalos. Anyone else? Kung wala, no, again, I will, okay, ED.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would just like to manifest if we can still be allowed to submit some amendments that will strengthen further the statements in Section 5. Because we do not want, we want to define that the technical vocational education track will be really Tibet track, Tibet pathway, and it will be also for 2 years. And we do not want that the curriculum will only be skills, practical skills, and functional literacy. We want it in a higher level, so that when they graduate in that track, they can be employed as a skills worker. And also we have the career progression to a BQF level 4 or a technician level. So that is our manifestation, and we'd like to submit our proposal to that. That to strengthen, sir.
Yes, could you include there yung micro certifications? Again, ano, para just in case kailangan talagang lumabas muna ng pathway, pwede siyang bumalik o pwede niyang gamitin yung micro certifications
Yes,
na
sir. And
for a better job.
in addition, Mr. Chair, we would like in section where the PQF Ladderization Act, it should also be including Ladderization Act, should be taken in considered the Philippine Credit Transfer System, so that as said that what they have finished will also be credited, and also the recognition of prior learning, because if they went to work and continue their education, their work exposure will be given equivalency. Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
So, kung wala na, ano, I'll make it clear, we will give everybody 2 weeks, 1 week, be fair enough to submit for everybody. Then after that, we will again come up with the last draft. We will go through our members first, and then pag okay na kami with the latest draft, we will call everyone again together for one last meeting before we submit it to plenary. Okay, so that will be the way we will do it. With that, we want to thank everybody present at maraming salamat. Thank you very much. This 30th committee meeting is adjournment. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn this meeting.
There's a motion to adjourn, duly seconded. Is there any objection? Chair, none. This 30th committee meeting of the Committee on Basic Education is hereby adjourned. Thank you. Thank you. Salamat. Ang kinakabahan lahat, baka walang dumating eh.